Hey friends, good morning. Getting ready for work. I'm in Santiago, Dominican Republic. I had a really good time and now it's time to go to work. I think that everybody needs to find a country that they can see themselves living in. It's very important to travel the world when you can. Learn how to save your money. Don't be subscribing to a whole bunch of subscriptions and just always eating out. Learn how to save your money. You never know when something's gonna happen. But from traveling to different places, meeting different people and cultures, I've learned that life and life experiences all change based on really where you live and the people that you're around. It does really matter. And this week, God taught me something this week, and He taught me that sometimes the things that you have to mature in is really allowing yourself to trust God more. You have to trust that even when you don't understand why God may want you to do something, but why He may be telling you to limit access to the things that you used to give access to. Like in my other video, I was talking about the things that the Lord was maturing me in, and one of those things was constantly having certain family members and friends have access to me. But the reason why is because my hope is that they genuinely want to understand who I am. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes when we grow and we mature, we have to realize that, people have the free will to be who they want to be. But when you mature in the things of God, that requires obedience. And I was listening to a video the other day, and it was talking about sometimes you won't get the things that God wants for you in this season because you're giving Him partial obedience. And it hit me. I don't want a partial blessing from partial obedience. That's a terrifying thing. Imagine trying to be as obedient as you can be for the Lord, and you're not getting the things that He promised you because you was halving it. You wasn't really believing God for something. Or maybe it could be that you don't understand why He's telling you to do something, right? That happens a lot. I know for me, I talk about access and boundaries this week because for me, I realized God taught me something else about myself. When you have to limit access to who can just come into your circle, it's because people like me, we get affected when people's moods change around us. When they start acting strange or they're disrespectful, or you just don't understand why people are just they're just like, nonchalant, or they seem like they're not putting enough effort in the friendship or the quality of the relationship than you are. And another part of growing up in Christ is we learn our value. We learn how the Lord sees us. And the things of God are never going to confuse you. They're never going to make you feel like you have to put all the effort in. Now I am wrestling. Let's say I'm wrestling with something. I'm wrestling with something because if we're supposed to go out and go make disciples, right? If you meet people who have had just not the best luck in life, maybe they never met a fellow believer, maybe they've been around so-called Christians and believers, but they were just the most trifling, or they were just, manipulated the things of God to get what they want, so they never experienced anything genuine. What I'm wrestling with is, if we're supposed to go out in the world and make disciples, and we encounter certain individuals that they're kind of hard around the shell, how much of our love and light are we supposed to extend to certain people in certain situations? but I'm feeling like we're getting drained or used. That's what I'm wrestling with, because I'm very much, I'm a good friend. And I have siblings. Shout out siblings, love y'all. Good sibling, I'm a good daughter, granddaughter, best friend. And sometimes I wonder if, does God call us as certain people, certain places to be an example? And if so, for how long? And then the other side of it is, where does God have our true family? I was listening to a sermon the other day, and it was Philip Anthony Mitchell, shout out 2819 Church in Atlanta. And he was talking about identifying your true family. And our true family is the people who are doing the Lord's work. Our true family are those that are going out being disciples. That is our true family. When Jesus was giving his sermon, his brothers and sisters were knocking at the gate or the door. And mind you, they were not in the sermon. They were not in his presence. They were outside of the gate, interrupting him, giving his speech and teaching his disciples. And then one of his disciples like, hey, Lord, your family's outside. And he looks at them like, who are my mother, my brother, and my sisters? Who are they? I'll look, and then he basically pointed out in front of everybody. And he's the people he was talking to. He's like, these are my mother, my brother, and sisters, the ones that do my Father's work. That's something that I really had to wrestle with for a while, But this week, I had to do some things that I really didn't understand when it came to, let's say I just took inventory, of the value of the friendships that are in my life. What friendships or relationships am I pouring all in? Am I doing all the checking in? And you'd be surprised. Now, sometimes what we don't get to hear is that sometimes the reality is you are the only person checking in and calling and caring. And I pray that you ask the Lord for strength, that he show you what relationships need to end, what relationships you need to kind of allow limited access, meaning because they affect you. Maybe hard to block people. I think for me that is challenging because I don't always understand that, but I've learned today that limiting access or blocking people or just not having to over-explain something, because sometimes the Lord wants you to do something because he's trying to test your obedience. So I pray that you pass the test. I pray that you submit to your obedience. That's what I pray for. I gotta go, guys. I love you, and I'll talk to you later.